What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, another Thursday, episode 31. Now, this one's a very
episode
special
30.
one. Oh, it is 30. Shit, 30.
It's cool.
I'm already skipping ahead. It's cool. So it's episode 30.
I mean, we're all excited about this.
Three sets of 10. That's fucking a good number of podcasts we got going now. And we've been reaching around the world a little bit with these. And now we're reaching really around the world to fucking down under Australia. We're bringing Dave Haley from Psycroptic on. I got my homies Joel, Joseph, and Casey with me. And we're going to get into some fucking Australian brutal technical shredding death metal.
Fuck yeah.
What's going on, Dave?
How you going, guys? Thanks for the stellar introduction.
No problem, dude. I mean, you deserve it. I mean, fuck, dude, it's Psycroptic. Come on, guys.
We're trying to get by. We're just a band.
But dude, so let's let's get an introduction a little bit. Like, what's it like in Australia? Like growing up in Australia, was it like populated area that you're in, or more, spread out? I want to know all that stuff too, because I mean, I know that there's like pockets and stuff over there. So where are you from?
So originally from Tasmania. I live in Melbourne now, which is one of the more populous cities. Very cool city. But I grew up in Tasmania, lived there for, I think, 28 years. Beautiful part of the world.
How far is that from Melbourne?
It's about an hour flight.
Oh,
so it's an island. It's that little triangular island at the bottom of Australia, the mainland of Australia. So, yeah, awesome part of the world. But growing up there, you don't realize how amazing the place is until you leave. Mm-hmm. And then you travel around the world and you're like, yeah, I was pretty lucky to grow up there.
Totally. I mean, it's like, yeah. Well, not only that, dude, it's like you guys are so like, secluded. That's kind of like you were saying that, you don't really realize where you're at until you leave and people, talk about the place that you grew up in. It's totally kind of, I mean, not the same thing. I'm comparing my city to your country, but I brought people to my hometown and they've made me realize, the beauty in my town too. So it's like you get, what is it? I can't think of the word, but you just get used to being in your environment,
Yeah, this is
Kinda,
familiar.
it doles it out a little bit if you're there all the time, Like I'd love to be in Hawaii all the time, but then people say they get island fever when they move out there for 6 months, Yeah.
I totally get that. Last year didn't really exist. So the year before, 2019, we did that. We went and visited the small town that I grew up in. It's like a town of 2,000 people. When you're a kid, it's boring. But you go back with a little bit of perspective, you're like, everywhere you look, it just looks like a postcard. It's fucking amazing. So it's definitely hindsight, realizing, okay, that was a pretty cool, pretty special childhood. Very, very fortunate. So yeah, cool. Tasmania. It's when you can travel there.
You were there until 28, you said?
Yeah, around then. I think I moved to Melbourne around 2008, thereabouts. So Psycroptic is definitely a Tasmanian band, always.
Yeah, that's where I was just going to go with it. Like it obviously started in Tasmania.
Yeah. Hobart, Tasmania, which is the capital city. It's about, I think, 250,000, 300,000 people. So pretty small, but again, a very beautiful city. The other guys, two of the other guys are there, Joe and Peppo. And our bass player, Todd Stern, actually lives in New Jersey.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, wow.
So we're definitely spread out.
All right. So let's take it back to the beginning of, when things got serious for you. What's your musical background? What was your build up to Psycroptic? Let's hear all that.
Okay. Well, I guess if we took it right back to where I started playing drums.
The beginning, dude. We like the beginning.
Right back.
Yeah.
So I went to a small country town school. So there was 200 kids from kindergarten to grade 10. So
wow,
very, very small.
Yeah.
And as part of, I guess, the general curriculum, music was compulsory, which in hindsight, again, is pretty cool that it's mandatory that you got to do music. So there was, probably 15, 16 kids in my class. And in grade 7, when music became mandatory, I actually originally started out playing guitar and had aspirations for a few weeks of being a rock star on guitar until I guess I became the class drummer by default, because basically it was a class band. Our music teacher lined everyone up, actually played a straight 8 in front of us, just a straight 8 rock beat, AC/DC beat, and handed sticks to everyone. And she's like, well, whoever can get this, whoever can
mimic it,
hold this beat, mimic it, you're the drummer. So I think I was probably 3rd or 4th in line and managed to somehow emulate what she was doing. It's like, okay, cool. Well, now you play drums. And that was it. So
wow. So how long were you playing? But you still stuck with guitar while you were doing that too, right?
Yes and no. I wish I had stuck with it properly, but it just faded. It just faded away. But yeah, drumming for the first couple of years was just something I did in class because it's mandatory.
And what age are you at this time?
So it would have been probably 11. So from age 11 to 13, it was just something I did 2 times a week at school. I didn't really.
What's the age difference between you and Joe?
Joe is 2 years younger.
Okay. So he went through kind of the same.
Yeah. So I guess as soon as I started playing drums and it got a little bit more serious, I think I got my first drum kit when I was 13. Then it was like, well, I need someone to play with. So, okay, Joe, you're going to play guitar and we'll start a band. So that's pretty much what happened. So in some respects, I kind of strong-armed him into playing guitar because I wanted someone to jam with.
The older brother, like, you better learn, dude.
It's like, okay, this is what you're doing. And he took to guitar, obviously pretty well.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, I guess I started taking the drums a little bit more seriously around 14, 15. That's when I started to get drum lessons. So as soon as we made the move, because we're in the country town, once we moved up to the city, then I had access to more teachers and actually watching other people play and realizing you can do more than just a straight 8 on the drums. Before then, it was just like, okay, we just hold this rock beat and that's what we do.
So what's it like? Was jamming happening as soon as you guys got home from school and shit? Like throw your book bags across the room, grab your instruments and start jamming?
Later on, yes. Earlier on, it was just, it was just on the weekends. It was an incremental struggling to find the right word.
It's all good. I was going to say
it was a ramp. It was a slow ramp up. It wasn't like, we were practicing 8 hours a day from the get go.
Exponential. Yeah.
There you go. It was at first it was kind of, okay, something we did on the weekends, we just jammed and then probably around, 16, 17, it was like, okay, we should probably start to do something a bit more serious.
So were you guys, let's just take it back one couple or just a little bit. Were you guys discovering music together and into the same music at that time as well?
Yeah, pretty much.
Feeding off each other. Basically, you discover something, throw it at him. He discovers something, throw it at you.
Yeah. initially, I guess we had access to the same music, so to speak. You know, this is pre-internet, pre-Spotify, YouTube. Like, you're only getting you're getting exposed to the music if you go to the local music store and ask them to put the CD on and they play it over the speakers. That's kind of that was literally how it went. So you'd listen to the album for like 30 seconds and go, yeah, I think I like it. And you'd buy the album.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you spend your $30 on the CD and you're kind of committed to it. So you're going to listen to it. You know, even if you hate it on the first go through, you're going to really try to get into albums.
Can you remember the first album that you were in the stores and you're like, holy shit, dude, I got to buy this. And then you went home and you're like, this is the best purchase I ever made.
Yeah, it was actually probably the self-titled Bremelin album. I was into heavy music, but just getting into death metal, and Australian band Bremelin. And so it was 95, and I remember going into Rare Groove Records, which was on the main street, Elizabeth Street in Hobart. It was the only store in town that had underground music.
Nice.
They played the first track, and I'm like, okay, this, I don't know what it is. This is kind of scaring me. This is full on, but I think I need to get this. And that was one of the releases that really
Did
changed.
You guys know anybody older than you that was feeding stuff to you, or were you just discovering it all on your
own? Initially discovering it on our own. You know, there was a nationally syndicated radio show called 3 Hours of Power once a week.
Nice.
So we'd sit there with a cassette deck and just record it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had all these cassettes of our own little compilations that we got from the radio, and just discovering bands like that. So it was a little bit later on that, you know, you start to meet a couple of people. It's like, oh, you're into this crazy stuff called death metal.
Yeah.
And then there was, you know, a few of the older dudes like, well, okay, here's some compilation tapes. So I guess it wasn't traditional, you know, tape trading. It was kind of, I guess, the next version from that, where it's people are making you their own little compilations, and that's how you're discovering bands. It's not
we just call them mixtapes out.
Yeah, mixtapes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So people are making you mixtapes, and you're finding bands out from that. And that's kind of how it all started.
Sweet, dude.
It blows my mind, like how, you know, we have to find someone. I mean, we get those mixtapes and stuff here, but we're like have such easier access than Australia. And the fact that you guys were getting it in like 95, 96 just completely blows my mind. Like that's
my mind too.
Like that was going to be like one of my main questions, asking you, like, how in Australia and Tasmania, how do you locate this kind of music? Because people even, you know, around here in California, where it's easily accessible, we have, you know, the States, we have the Florida scene, you know, the California scene, stuff like that. You managed through this, so it was through the radio station is where this all came to fruition.
Primarily, yeah. So it's just before the internet was really accessible to everyone, but we're still getting the underground magazines, and you're hearing band names around, you're seeing logos around. You know, we're still getting some of the, you know, the magazines, Metal Maniacs, the Terrorizers, stuff like that. So you're hearing about these bands. It's not as though, you know, we weren't completely isolated. You did have to look a little bit harder, but I think most cities had those one or two stores, or you know, they got a lot of the underground stuff in, and there was quite a few mail orders. You know, there was Modern Invasion Records, which was bringing in a lot of stuff. What was it? The Hammer House, Warhead Records. There was a bunch of distros around that were our go-to sources as well. So you'd buy stuff based on descriptions and based on features members of, and like, you'd see, a picture of Cannibal Corpse wearing, the dudes in Cannibal Corpse wearing, whatever, a Disgorge t-shirt, or a band that you've never heard of, and you're like, wow, that they must be sick. So there was a lot of getting influenced by other, peer group members and, other bands that we looked up to and stuff like that. So we weren't completely cut off. And at the time, you think you got your finger on the pulse. Like, it wasn't like we were starved for access to music because we didn't know any better. It's like we thought we were, totally had our fingers on the underground pulse.
Totally.
Definitely didn't feel left out at all.
Can you talk a little bit about like the history of death metal in Australia that you're aware of, and kind of what happened before you guys entered the scene?
Okay, yeah. It stretches pretty far back into the mid 80s, where you've got bands like Sadistic Execution, who they're legendary and infamous. Bands like Armored Angel, I think, that's as far back as 84, that sort of thing. So definitely a strong scene throughout the 80s that were quite influential, not just death metal, but all genres and all the subgenres.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my knowledge and my interests came into it around the mid 90s, because that's when I started to discover it. So that for me is I guess the magical Australian sound, where it's bands like Damaged, Bremelin, Bloodduster, Manticore.
Bloodduster, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Way down with Bloodduster.
Me too. I was lucky enough to play with those guys for a while.
Oh, actually in the band?
In the band.
Nice, dude. Did you do some live shit with them?
Yeah. A lot. I did a lot of shows with them. Maryland Death Fest, played twice with Bloodduster.
Nice, dude. Fuck, I didn't even know that.
I've been very fortunate I've been able to play in and with some of the bands that I wrote letters to as a kid. Recently I joined a Bremelin, which was like hands down one of the most influential bands on me as in my formative years getting into the genre. So it's pretty surreal.
That is fucking cool, dude. I mean, every young death metal or metalhead, just musician in general, to have somebody that they look up to in the beginning of it, that was the one who was at the gates to let them in, and then you're in the band now later on in your life, you're like, wait,
it's ridiculous.
The journey that I just took now that felt so natural, just me being me, took me to this spot, in this spot now. It's fucking, that's killer, dude.
Yeah. So I'm always just surprised and very appreciative of all of the cool shit I've been able to do. Yeah. But going back to your question about I guess Australian death metal bands, like I guess pre-internet and pre-affordable travel, the Australian scene was somewhat cut off. So it really did develop its own sound. It's got a quite distinctive sound. If you listen to the, all those leaders in the genre, very distinctive. There's no real copycat sounds, and they don't sound like each other. A band like Bremelin sounds different from Damaged, who sounds different from Destroyer 666, who again sounds different from Bestial Warlust and Sadistic Execution. So it was very, very original. That's what I would say would be the
I wonder if it's the isolation of where you guys are in the first place, and then you isolate even more into this little bubble, and you kind of just like you make your own shit right there, and then eventually it expands out, and you realize, oh, nobody else is really doing this.
Totally, and I think it's scenes within scenes. Australia's isolated in itself, and each city is isolated from each other. Melbourne is 10 hours drive away from Sydney, and Melbourne, the other way is 8 hours to Adelaide. And there's not too much, there's smaller towns, but there's no cities in between. So I think that did have somewhat of a big effect on the developments of the originality in a lot of the bands.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to you and Joe and starting to get serious about Psycroptic, or was that even the first name of it? And were you guys playing other styles of metal before you actually leaned on the style that Psycroptic has been known for?
Pre-Psycroptic, we had a band called Disseminate, and that was our first extreme metal band. Listening back to it now, I think there's a lot more of a black metal, unintentional black metal influence and sound to Disseminate. And we did that band for, I think, a year or 18 months. At the time, it felt like the band was together for eons. We did a lot of shows in Hobart. We'd play at least once a month, probably more. And so that was our first real metal band where we're actually out there gigging. So I would have been 17, 18, and Joe would have been like 14, 15 at the time. Wow. And then we started to write music that was a little bit more technical. The other guys in Disseminate weren't that stoked with it, fair enough. So for a while we had both bands going. We wrote most of the material for the first Psycroptic album, Isle of Disenchantment. That would have been
personal favorites. That's actually the first one I listened to. A lot of people say Scepters was where I literally heard Isles like a couple of weeks before Scepters was coming out. Somebody had turned me on to Isles, and I had just started getting familiar with it, and then Scepters came out, or I heard it on a compilation, one of the songs on a compilation, and I was just like, oh shit, this band is somebody we really need to fucking pay attention to.
That's sick.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was all independent. The Isle was all,
yeah. We recorded that in 2 days, something like that. All live, one or two takes. Drums and guitar live, and then we overdubbed another guitar. We didn't have much money. It was like, I think the studio bill was $1,400 in the end. And we didn't know whether it was like, let's just release it as a demo tape. It was just supposed to be a demo tape. Mm-hmm. But then, because you're doing it yourself, you're getting printing prices and all that fun stuff. It's like, it's not that much more expensive to get the CDs.
Yeah.
Why don't we just put it on CD? And that was literally the logic. So 100% self-released.
How'd you link up with all the other guys like Chalky?
Chalky, he grew up in a town up north, about 4 hours away from Hobart. And he'd just moved down. We met him when we were gigging with Disseminate. He came along to a gig and we just hit it off because we're into this same sort of music. And it was it was pretty much as simple as, oh, you do death metal vocals. We've got a death metal band that we're just starting. Do you want to do vocals? Yeah, cool. And Cam, who played bass, he was like, oh, we need a bass player. And Joe was like, oh, there's this cool guy at my school, Cam. I heard him play a Morbid Angel riff. I was like, oh, let's get him on bass. And that was it. Nice. So no crazy audition process or any of that sort of stuff.
That's literally all it takes sometimes, like back, like, you know, when you're younger and stuff. It's like, oh, this one guy, I got a fucking gig in a band because I could play a Cryptopsy riff. And they're like, whoa. I would like show up into their practice and just play a Cryptopsy riff. And they'd be like, whoa, dude, you can play that fast? Damn, dude, you're in, dude.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, literally the same thing. I think he was just playing Dawn of the Angry. Joe was like, oh, sick, you know, we've got a death metal band, you should come and jam.
Yeah.
That was it.
You're in.
You're in.
So what year was Psycroptic formed officially?
99.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we formed 99. I think we started gigging pretty shortly after, like at least within 6 months. We were gigging, and then possibly 6 months after that, already recording the Isle.
So did you and Joe have most of the material already laid out before Chalky and did you say Cam? Sorry.
Yeah. So we had the songs that we'd, I guess, written that weren't that suitable for Disseminate. I think there was six songs on a cassette that we gave Cam and Chalky. And then we wrote, a couple more once we decided, okay, this is the band. And then we went and recorded all the songs. I think we recorded 10 songs, but one of the songs from memory, we just weren't feeling it. So it got lost in the abyss. We literally recorded all our material, and that was that. You know, it became the first album.
What was the push from you guys going from like the more simpler straight up death metal to be more progressive and technical? What was that? Was there a band that pushed you? Was there a musician that pushed you guys in that direction? Or
I don't think there was any one band. I think it was just getting exposed to different bands and, you know, trying to expand ourselves as musicians, you know, getting better. You always want to get better on your instrument, challenge yourself. And usually that comes in the form of being able to play more technically. So as our proficiency level increased, the complexity, I guess, kind of as a byproduct started,
So when Iowa came out, did Unique Leader hear, like Eric and stuff, they heard that and then they...
No. They heard Scepter. So the first two albums we self-funded. Well, we pretty much always self-fund our recording.
Wow.
So we'd self-funded Scepter and recorded it, you know, just from saving money up from gigs, you know, selling Isle, you know, as bands do. You know, you have a band kitty, you build it up. Cool.
99 was the same year that Odious started, and
2000.
You guys. Oh, okay. I thought. You guys started jamming together as something else in '99, though, right? Or no?
We had like a different band.
Oh, okay. But I was gonna say, because I'm just hearing him say it, and it's like you guys already did Devouring before you were signed.
We actually self-funded Devouring too.
Yeah. So it's like the same kind of deal.
Yeah. But
So
how did Unique Leader find out? How did that?
We sent them a copy of Scepter.
Okay.
So we sent, at the time, I don't know, 15, 20 promo CDs of the full album just out to labels.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're all set to just self-release again.
Did you make those packages like with all this?
Yeah.
Did
the whole press back.
Girl, here's Metal Blade. All right, so they're gonna check. You don't know who they are. Yeah, totally. We did that.
Yeah.
I want to take it back just a little bit since we're talking about Cali, Unique Leader and stuff. What was the first Cali death metal band that you guys came across over in Australia?
Well,
Disgorge.
Yeah, it would have been Disgorge, and it would have been on a mixtape that our mate Timo made for us. Nice. And I still remember hearing Disgorge for the first time. It's like, what is this? What is this?
I think that's everybody's reaction the first time they hear Disgorge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just, jaw drops. It's like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. This is absurd. So yeah, it was Disgorge, and then Deeds of Flesh shortly after. Yep. And then it was like, okay, anything that this record label releases, I will buy.
Same for us, man.
Yep. Once you get on that Unique Leader teat, dude, you're just like anything if it's got that fucking logo on the back of it, I see it in the record store, I'm
Guaranteed.
buying it. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I was a teenager in high school, and I went to go see like the Bloodletting 1 show, and it was like 2000, and it was like just blew me. It was Disgorge and Deeds were the headliners, and it was just like, all right, like world changed after that.
So everything on Unique Leader. I mean, obviously that's why we signed with them, because we love the label.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you guys fit so nice too.
Yep.
But at the same time, you stood out as your own thing. It really was, not just with Chalky's vocals, but like there's something in the Psycroptic riffing that
the riffs and the drums along with the riffs, and I just want to see. I wish I could see Eric's face when you guys first sent that fucking like full album to him, and we're like, hey, this is the band that we're doing, check it out, blah blah. It's like, Jesus Christ, that album still goes one of the most it's like top albums in my life. That's been
the way I found out was, so when we went to record Devouring with Matt, and so we met Matt, and it was the first time we'd ever met him from Decrepit. And he recorded us like at his place in Santa Cruz, and we were like young and all like excited to meet him, and he just was like basically like, this is 2004, and he was like, you have to check out this band Psycroptic. He was like obsessed. He was like, dude, that drummer is like the best drummer. Like he was like, they're the fucking best. Like he like totally hyped us up, and we're like, all right. I had that like memory, and then also he was all about the guitar riffs being super like he's like, that's how you actually fucking pick all tight with this. And we heard it, we're just like, oh shit, it's so tight. And then everything. And then, so we always loved Scepter. I used to have the Scepter shirt,
awesome.
Long gone, man. But I wore that shit all the time back in the day, man. I fucking love that shit, dude. So that was fun for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, listening back to it, I can pick it apart, because we didn't do it with a click track. Drums and the first guitar were.
Oh, it's so good though.
Yeah, live.
It doesn't matter.
I would not change a thing. But we're sitting outside. It's like we've talked to so many musicians now too, and nobody's ever going to be like, "Dude, I fucking loved my record." I fucking love the album we just put out. Like, nobody's going to say that, dude. They're always going to be like, "Yeah, well, there's some good stuff in there, but I wish I could have done this, and I'm going to do it like this next time." That's what I keep saying. That's what keeps us in it, dude.
That blows my mind. It was not done with the click, dude. That I mean,
that
just the tightness of the pick, it's picking along with you is so.
It sounds like
so
perfection.
Tight. Yeah.
We had no idea what we were doing. Literally, we didn't know what we're doing. We didn't even know what a click track was. We'd only just figured out what drum triggers were, so we used triggers for the bass drum.
So I have a question about that real fast. So
sure.
There was like a folklore thing, and maybe I asked you on tour way back, I don't remember, man, but I was like, did you use Pearl eliminators on that album?
Yes.
Okay, it's true. All right.
Yeah. Pearl eliminators.
That's wild. Didn't play like that on eliminators. I mean, those are good pedals, but Jesus.
Yeah, Pearl eliminators on the Blue Cam.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're a killer pedal. I've still got the pedals.
But you played Axis for a while, didn't you?
I played Axis, and I've recently switched over to I can't even pronounce the name.
I know which one it is then.
Yeah. Zarikopter.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry, I just say that. Yeah. I don't know the
Zarikopter.
Which
are crushing pedals. Now we're going down a drum nerd path.
That's all good, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of that.
Plenty of times on this thing.
Yeah. I just had to know. So okay, so what kind of? I just need to know. Like, so what triggers did you use, and what kind of module? And
so the module would have been a DM4,
okay.
and
yeah,
had the D drum.
The red ones.
The red ones, yeah, because that's what everyone used in the pictures. So I'm like, okay, I need them.
Yeah. Okay.
And the kit was a Mapex Mars Pro kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you play Zildjians back then, or what would you?
Not back then. No, not back then. I would have. I think that would have been before I was endorsed by anyone. So yeah, I would have been playing them, but I would have been playing a whole bunch of different symbols. So I've always played Zildjians, but never.
Yeah.
When you're not endorsed, it's like I'm using whatever you can get your hands on.
Yeah. Totally.
So there definitely would have been Zildjians in the setup, but I wasn't endorsed by them.
Have you always done like a 10, 12, 13 configuration with your rack toms, or what's like your favorite like size configuration?
I mix it up a little bit. At the moment, I'm just using a 10 and 12 rack tom.
Oh, okay. Just two.
But it changes. Like I'll change it up every couple of months. I actually changed it because I was getting a little bit of tennis elbow or blast arm, whatever you want to call it.
For sure. Yeah.
Blast arm. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, blast arm.
It comes and goes. Yeah. And if I get rid of that 13, if I get rid of the 3 rack toms.
Dude, as a non-drummer, I'm just going to use that as if I have my elbow hurts, I'm just going to say, dude, I got the blast arm.
Masturbating doesn't count, dude.
Too soon, Joel.
Well, that could be the blast arm.
Master blast arm.
Anyways, yeah.
Megadeth's got a blast arm. Anyways.
So, dude, fucking, that's cool. And then, dude, just tell me your cymbal setup. Just real fast. I got to know. Just last drum nerd. What's your current cymbal setup? Just for
the current setup. All Zildjians. I use. It's quite symmetrical. So we've got 2 rides, both the mega bells, and then above those rides, one each side. I've got 2 Chinas, so both Orientals. Above the ride on my right side, I've got X hats, and then I've got on the left side, I've got my main set of hats, 2 crashes above them, and then a mini Chinese and a splash. So it's not overboard, but there's enough there. There's enough to get.
Are you using those same kind of crashes that are like hybrids or something like that?
In that
video, you were using those like with the Sparkle drum set. The what was that for? What album was that? I was watching that on YouTube. It was sick.
Okay. I guess. Yeah. I mix them up a little bit, but I still have one hybrid.
Okay.
On one side, and then I've got just an A custom crash on the other side.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Enough drum nerdery. I just wanted to know. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I've done it before with the guitar stuff, so we need it.
It's about time for some drum nerdery.
Yeah, I know, right? It's always been guitar stuff.
Dude, and we got a world-class drummer on our podcast. I mean, we got to ask Flo some good questions, but it was it was a busy episode. We got a few people on there.
Yeah, exactly.
But now that we got you, Dave, cornered, dude, I'm gonna get out of you, dude. I gotta know.
That's good.
I love it, dude.
I definitely like switching things up in terms of what I use, the series and the sizes and things like that, just to see what creatively it'll do. I don't get too crazy. I don't revolutionize my whole setup every week, but
that might always keep it exciting. Oh, I got that new thing that I can work into this and that,
Just slow tweaks and see what happens. Oh, what happens if I do this? What's going to come out differently if I play like this?
See how much I know about drums, dude. I was like, yeah, dude, that thing, dude. I got that new thing, dude.
That's
I'm
pretty
gonna
much
hit it. I'm gonna hit it.
In a nutshell, that's pretty much what it is.
It's true. I got like wood blocks. I'm like, how can I make this work? But it's too fun. But I've noticed a trend with that whole symmetrical drum thing, like Longstreth has done that a lot, like, you know, with the two rides and the whole, and it seems to make a lot of sense. You know, I've always kind of tried it and resisted it, but I'm like, man, that makes total sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I guess within reason, you know, there's certain things certain habits that I can't get out of. And that to a degree is going to influence my setup. But yeah, it does make sense to have it pretty symmetrical.
Right.
So I've seen that get out of hand, and I had a drummer friend who would play symmetrical, and all the drums on one side were tuned the same as the drums on the other side. And I was like, no, dude. He was like, it's all symmetrical. I'm like, you need more sounds, man.
That's the guy. That's the same guy like vacuums his house 3 times a day.
That's OCD.
He knows exactly how many paper towels are left on the roll.
But I love that guy. Shout out.
I'm just fucking around.
That was my feedback to him. I'm like, you should get some more sounds out of your kit instead of just trying to make everything super symmetrical.
Sound the same. Yeah, just put a mirror.
You go.
That's awesome.
So, Dave, if you could name, like, out of all the drummers in the world, doesn't matter what style, like I don't know, just the top list of your favorite, doesn't matter what number, just who are some of your most influential drummers?
Okay. In the metal sphere, you know, the list is going to be long. It's a long list, but it's going to be similar to, you know, all the names you expect. You know, Sean Reinhart, Gene Hoglan, you know, Flo, Derek Roddy, Kevin Talley. Anyone who brought something unique and cool to the style, like all of those players that I mentioned.
Yep.
You hear them and they all sound different.
All unique in their own right. Yep.
Yeah. So just borrowing from everyone. If you hear something and you get that chill in the back of your neck or the hair stand up, you're like, whoa, okay, I need to take that. Mm-hmm. A bunch of Australian drummers were very, very influential. Matt Skitz from Damaged, Ewan Herriot from Bremelin. They both had a big influence on my formative years. And then outside of metal, I guess earlier on, anything you can't do, and it's like I was talking to my drum teacher about this the other week. When you hear something and you can't figure out what is actually happening, but it sounds amazing, it's almost like it's magic. It's like, what sorcery is happening? Like I can't comprehend what's happening. So I guess earlier on, when you're new to the instrument, everyone's a fucking magician because you're like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So a lot of the session drummers, you know, your Dave Weckl, Vinny Colaiuta, Virgil Donati, a lot of those players.
Isn't he Australian? Virgil Donati?
Virgil, yeah. Australian, yeah.
That guy's insane, dude.
Yeah, he's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So these days, I guess it's more shifted to getting influenced by, as soon as you hear something you don't know how to do, and it's like, this guy's got some magic going on. You get influenced by it. You get influenced by, you know, inspired by hearing players who can do something you can't do. So that's still definitely a thing. So the list is always growing. There's not a full stop on, okay, these are the only drummers that are inspiring me, influencing me. There's the classics that you put them on the mantelpiece. All these players help me, you know, form 90% of my sound, but you know, I'm still trying to learn more on this fucking complex, crazy thing.
when did you start doing drum clinics? Because I know that you were doing them for a while. Are you still doing them ever?
Not so much. I never aspired to do them. They were basically, I was offered to do some clinics with George Calais, who's a good friend of mine. He loves doing them. I don't particularly like doing them. But I was offered to do an Australian tour with him. It's like, yeah, of course. I get to hang out with George and play drums every day, and I just have to do it in front of a whole bunch of people, which was the part that I was very scared about. Mm-hmm. So it was, I never aspired or set out to do it. It was an opportunity that was put in front of me. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Sure. So the only times I've really done the clinics are when a situation like that comes up. Okay, you know, George is coming out. Let's do some stuff together. I still teach quite regularly. I really like teaching.
Awesome.
Much more than a clinic scenario, because you can really get down to the minute detail.
Yeah.
Of everything. You know, that's what I'm more geared to, rather than you kind of put on this pedestal and there's a bunch of people that are. No, I won't say that. No, it's not for me. Let's put it that way. It's not for me. I'd rather play a gig, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah,
but the teaching I love, you know.
Yeah, I teach also, and so does Joseph. So we love it too.
Yeah. Would you guys do clinics? Like, is that something you guys are interested in? Or
I went to one of Derek's clinics, Roddy, in San Jose one time, and I was like sitting up front. And he's like, well, there's some other drummers in the house, And then like he had me come up, like check out his kit, and I was like, no, dude, I'm cool. I'm just like. But then he was like, come up, and I was like, all right. So I like go up there, and I'm like sitting on his kit, and I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Okay, see ya. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I was just like, no, I'm not about to start like doing something, But it was funny, dude. Yeah. Well, he's a really fucking cool guy, And
Derek is awesome. He's
I mean, it's rad that they do that stuff. I know what you mean, but yeah, for me, I'm just kind of like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think of myself that way as like, like a clinic drummer, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you
could though.
You're either going to want to do it or not. George and Derek both, they love it.
They kill it.
They love it. It's like, cool, do it. They do it every night if they could.
I guess if you got to try it sometime,
Yeah.
Yeah, like I guess by the end of doing a whole bunch of clinics in a row, I was getting into the flow of it a little bit and I was enjoying it to a degree, but it's still like, I want the rest of the band here. I just want to play a show.
Do you think you'd feel like less nervous if it was just your clinic and not with Roddy there? Because it's kind of
no.
It's still the same. Just kind of
still the same. Like I could get up in front of 10 people and I'm nervous. Talking, I can't talk in front of.
Oh, I see. Because you got,
yeah. So it's not about. It's just. It's not something I'm really comfortable with doing. I'd rather a student come in and we try to.
I was just going to say, I think I heard that's the second biggest fear is 1, death, 2, public speaking.
Yeah, it's public speaking is above death for me, for sure.
Above death.
It's above death.
It's above death.
It's above death. That's the old George Carlin skit. He goes off on that. Yeah.
No shit. Really?
Okay.
He's like, you'd rather be the guy in the coffin than the guy giving the eulogy.
Jeez, I get that. I get it. Yeah, for sure. But one-on-one lessons, that's where it's at for me.
Yeah, me too.
So let's take it back to the unique leader situation. We got kind of far away from that, but let's hear that interaction. So you guys sent all 15, 20 packages out to a bunch of different labels. UL, was there any other callbacks?
There was a couple, but they were the ones who got back to us the fastest, and it was like, sure, we're not going anywhere else. So, like, yep, let's do it. And there was a couple more that rolled in a little bit after, but it was like, thank you, but we're already done the deal. Because that was it, we just wanted to be on Unique Leader.
Was that Eric or was it Jacoby?
It was both. Eric was the one who got back to us, and I think Jacoby we dealt with him for the contracts and things like that. So, it was UL/Deeds getting back to us. And when you're a UL and Deeds fan, you're like, this is the best. Of course. They're the kings.
I remember when I first got with Odious, there was I don't know what happened, but there was some sort of I think it might have been bloodletting you guys were almost gonna do or something. But they were like, oh, Psycroptic is gonna come. Is it cool if Psycroptic comes and jams at your studio for a while? Blah blah. We're just sitting there like shaking, like, I mean, if they want to, I don't want them to watch us though if they don't like. But there was
I remember that. Yep.
That was the tour. It was that vile Deeds decrepit Odious tour was Psycroptic was on it. I think was originally, but something went through. Yeah, something fell through.
Yeah, I just don't think the visa situation, then is, and still now, it's so cost prohibitive to get to the States until.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think it was just a financial thing. It's that, we wanted to come 100%, but
yeah,
when you're already so far in debt before you've got to the airport.
Yeah, totally. Man. How long is the flight from there to like LA?
So from Tasmania, you have to go from Hobart to Melbourne. So that's about an hour. And then you can go from Melbourne to LA, which is 14 hours, I think.
Oh, really? I thought it was longer.
It's not too bad. Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, if we're going to, it's fine. It's fine. Going to Europe,
do that.
What are those 20-hour flights? Like I kept thinking.
So the longest one flight that I've taken was Houston to Sydney, and that was like 17 hours.
Huh, okay.
Still not too bad. I mean,
I don't know why 17 sounds so much longer.
Well, it's just one of those things. You always think about the all the stops that usually when you're going overseas and stuff. Like it's 17 hours, but you got to do a stop here, which is another 4 hours. Stop here is another 3 hours. Yeah. There's been, I mean, I'm sure like coming from where you guys are from, like you probably have like nightmare fucking travel stories, right?
There's been a couple of curveballs.
Curveball.
A couple. Yeah. I think the worst one was coming back from Russia, where we get to the airport, and it was a rough tour. And we're checking in, and gets to Joe, and they're just saying, yet. And we're like, what? And we had to go and get someone else to translate it. And basically his ticket was cancelled and the flight was full.
Strange. What do you do in that situation?
So it was like, okay, let's just get the fuck out of Russia and sort it out. So we were connecting through, where was it? Finland, Helsinki. So, okay, let's just get to fucking Helsinki. And then basically we just went to the counter and explained the situation. And the lady felt sorry for us. She's like, listen, like, I don't know why it's been cancelled, but you have to buy another ticket. But I will give you my personal discount. But
okay.
The but is it's going to take you 3 days to get home. So he had to go the long way. I think I was at home for 2 days before he made it home.
Jeez.
I was literally like, and it was a 1 hour connecting, because if we had missed our flight, that was 3 more flights we had to buy. So it was like, okay, Joe, here's all the tour money. You hang on to it. Spend what you need. We'll see you in a few days.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. And just so probably that small of a, I mean, that big of an adventure probably came from like that small of a someone accidentally like hitting their elbow on like a delete button or something. You know, like just ruining someone's.
Yeah, weak. No one could really explain what happened, and I don't think anyone cared. They're just like,
yeah.
It's like there's no ticket. There's no ticket yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
That would be up there, but there's definitely been some interesting times and a lot of times.
It's never smooth like coming from overseas or to another country. It's never like, oh yeah, this is the plan. You're going to get here at said time and you're good. That's just, I mean, this is what the itinerary says and you're good. It's like, it's never like that. It's always like, oh yeah, that middle flight was canceled, so you're going to be here for a day, and then like you're going to have to sleep in a terminal for 17 hours.
You're talking about,
then I know,
like our flight back from Germany was not like that at all.
Yeah, they literally said, I think they said when we went up to the counter, they're like, "Oh, your flight is 17 hours delayed." And we're like, "Okay, cool, well the bus left, so I guess they better have some fucking good magazines in this fucking newsstand, or I'm fucked."
We slept in the terminal, like when we finally got to New York, and then it was like all delayed because of the domino effect. And we slept in the terminal. There's pictures of us just asleep, and there's like the sliding door, like to the, like the drop off pickup, and we're like in sleeping bags, like passed out. Oh, man,
I mean, I look back on it with nothing but fond memories and life experiences. But at the time, we were like,
it's like,
Jesus, it's like you've already been on tour, dude. You're like on your way home.
Nah, it was all fun. It was just a rough moment, but it was so fun.
Yeah.
It's all
definitely.
It was rad.
Definitely.
Well, you've been a tour manager for a while now, so you're probably pretty good at like booking the flights and stuff at this point.
Yeah, sometimes I'm pretty good at it. Sometimes I'm not so good when I miss out someone's flight.
Oh shit!
I've had to do a couple of stealth moments at the airport, like, "Hey guys, I just got to go," and they're like, "Hey, I need a flight right now." That has happened. So tour managing was something, again, I did not because I chose to, it was like because I had to. So I was, I guess you could say I was a tour promoter, tour booker. It's kind of all rolled into one for Australia. So yeah, I'd act as the promoter and booker, which in other, in the States, they're two separate jobs. You've got a booking agent who then will contract the shows with bookers, but because there's a smaller amount of shows, between 5 and 7, it's all rolled into one. And then sometimes it's rolled into the tour manager job as well. So you basically do everything. It's something I really enjoy. It's like a complicated jigsaw puzzle while you're trying to juggle balls that are on fire. That's how.
So it's mostly you bringing bands to Australia.
Yeah, me and my business partner. I guess at the height of pre-pandemic world, we'd do between 10 and 15 tours a year.
Nice.
Wow.
And quite a variety of bands, mostly in the metal genre, because that's what we're into. But yeah, in amongst that, I'm the, you're the promoter, sometimes you're the tour manager, sometimes you're the arranging logistics, whatever, it's anything that needs to get done, basically.
Definitely. Talk about what goes into bringing a band into Australia. Like, I mean, you have to obviously take in flight, you have to take in amenities, you have to take in all that stuff in. And probably not. I mean, you might be doing. I have no idea what bands you're booking and stuff. But if you're booking like a death metal band, like coming into Australia, like it's there's not like a real big. There's not a rainbow with a big pot of gold at the end. It's going to be like you have to make it work. It's going to be coming down to the last penny kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you go ahead.
Yeah. We've done. I guess the bigger bands we've done are bands like Emperor and Dimmu Borgir and.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
So, medium level bands, quite high profile bands. So, but then, on the flip side, the first tour I organised was Deeds of Flesh.
Okay.
And then
Oh, so you brought Deeds of Flesh to Australia. Yeah. Okay. There's a soundboard recording of Deeds playing in Australia that I discovered from is that 2005 or 2006? And it sounds amazing.
That would have been from Bloodlust Fest in Sydney. Yeah. And there was video footage from that show too. It was killer.
Awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Did you bring Disgorge over later?
No, I didn't do Disgorge. That Chalky actually did Disgorge.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. So, kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, but there's been a wide variety of bands I've been fortunate enough to work with. Yeah.
So, I mean, transportation's all, you have to basically do the whole thing, right? And there's only probably like 4 or 5 shows, right? There's not like a lot of shows, right?
Yeah. I guess legally, if you want to look at it from a legal point of view, we are wholly responsible for the artists when they're in the country. In every regards, right down to if they get into trouble, we get into trouble.
Wow.
So it's there's a lot of risk and there's a lot of planning. But it's
what would be the repercussion of that? Like, let's say you bring a band out and they get like, I've heard a story, and it's kind of a more popular band, but I was watching a HBO or something with the Foo Fighters guy was like, he was on a bicycle or a motorbike, and he was drinking a bunch, and the Dave Grohl was drinking a bunch, and they pulled him over and he got a DUI and took him to jail. So if that were to happen to a band under your watch, what would be the repercussion in Australia for you bringing that band over?
I guess it would be a knock-on effect. Like if it, financially, if it took it out of show, then straight away, you've lost money. If you lose one show on a tour, it's like, that's it. Legally, I honestly don't know. I mean, if it's something that we did due to our negligence, then of course we'll be in trouble. I do know that, for example, if you bring someone in on a visa and then they don't leave the country, okay, now you are potentially financially responsible for the costs involved in finding the person and then evicting them, basically. So there's that sort of thing. I don't want to speak out of school, and because I don't really know the answer in terms of legally if someone went and did something. If it was negligence on our behalf, for sure we'd get into a lot of trouble, and would probably not be allowed to bring any more acts into the country.
Wow.
Heard that. So behave, everybody.
There's definitely you have to be approved as a sponsor. You're effectively sponsoring the person. So everyone in the band, you are their sponsor in the country.
So you're not trying to bring some band that's like known for being party wacky people. You're trying to be like professional bands over that like.
No, I mean, if it's a touring band, what you're getting into. You know that they might like to have fun, but it's their job as well. So
definitely.
How's the weed out there?
It's pretty good.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Do they care about that out there?
It depends who you run into.
Yeah.
It's not legal yet.
Yeah.
It's
not one of those. If you find some guy who comes over with like MDMA or something, they're gonna cut off his hands and put him in jail for life, right? It's gonna be like just.
No. I guess it depends. But if you're trying to
drunk, by the way,
where do you think he lives, dude?
I'm already drunk, but I'm drunk, dude. Jesus.
Well, if you're drunk, Joel, you have good stories of taking Psycroptic out. That's
what we were talking about in the pre-pod. So.
I missed one memory. So I want to hear it.
Actually, since Cam isn't in your band anymore, can I tell a Cam story? That's very embarrassing. I don't want to. Is he married or something? I don't want to like.
Oh, he's married. He's married. And he's got kids. So if it's
okay. So anyway, so we had fun.
Free all that.
No, it wasn't like that though. It was basically we just got too drunk and he wanted to like, he's all, no, I'm here, I'm gonna stay. We're like, no, you're not staying, Cam. Like, we have to, you don't know where the fuck you are. We're in the middle of this like state that you've never been into. We had to all pick, like us and Vale of Maya had to, and I think Whitechapel was there too, had to all grab Cam and just like baby him out into this like stretch limo that we had, because the stretch limo company was the number one fan or a band that they loved was Whitechapel. So they're like, how many stretch limos do you want? We're like, I don't know, like 3. I don't know, like
I don't know.
and so yeah, so Cam was just like fucking wasted and was just like, hey, I'm gonna stay here, dude, at this party. It's cool. We're like, yeah, no, you're not staying here, dude. And he's all, no, I'm staying here, dude. I'm like, no, Cam, we're gonna go ahead and pick you up. We like physically had to assault him and like pick him up and like throw him in the stretch limo and fucking take him back. But one of the that always comes to my like in the beginning that I was talking about was me and Dave over in Austin, Texas. I feel like it was Dave that came up with this idea, which is like every can that you have, you duct tape it to another can, and then you duct tape to like every time that you drink. So you basically are creating this like cane of beers,
tail of beers behind.
And then literally at the end of the night, I remember me and fucking Dave had ones that were like 6 feet tall. They were like I don't even know, like we would duct tape them. We would duct tape them so well they would like stay intact, and like they were just like at the end of the night we're just like I remember it was still light outside and we had like at least 12 each.
Yeah. Do you take a fresh one, duct tape it, and then drink it? And finish
your fresh one's always at the top.
So you always have to like drink from the whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to show off your cane every sip you take.
I've never played this game, but I can totally imagine it. Now I want to play it, dude.
I feel like it's an Australian game.
No. It was actually Sarah, the merch chick.
Okay.
One who introduced us to the game, and we're like, this rules.
We would just do Edward 40 hands. Anybody do Edward 40 hands?
Oh yeah.
Classic.
So Dave, Edward 40 hands out here in America, we would do like this thing where you have to duct tape 2 40s of like malt beer to your hands. And so obviously if you have 2 40s, you can't pee or anything. So you have to get you have to get rid of
the bottles until you drink them.
You have to drink them both before you can pee. So that was pretty similar.
Sounds like an awesome game.
Yeah, I know. We've all grown up though.
Yeah, I was shove 80 ounces of fluid into your body, and you can't excavate any of it, dude. It sounds like a sick party.
That's a good time. Yeah.
No, I actually one other quick tour story I have. I hope you remember this. So we used to call you guys constantly the Thunder from Down Under. It was like a little joke, like you guys didn't know because you guys had never been to Vegas. So we were like on the way to Vegas, we were calling you the Thunder from Down Under. I was having Bill say it on stage. We were like joking around, and you were like, "Fuck yeah, that sounds pretty sick." Like, "Fuck yeah, that's like a cool name."
Oh, this is before he knew what it was.
Yeah, then we got to Vegas, and it was with Carcass. I think Carcass was there, and all these like bands were there, and we're all on this little like trolley train thing, and I'm with a bunch of Psycroptic guys and Carcass and all these people, and I like point over to you guys. I'm like, that's why we're calling you that. And it was it's basically a male strip show.
I remember the billboard,
dude. Right when you come in, dude.
And you were like, oh no, you guys are so fun.
You guys should have even took it even a step further and took them to the show, dude.
I think there would have been enough signage where they would have got it though.
That's too far.
Yeah, where are you guys taking us here?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I wonder if they have like Australian accents and shit, or they probably don't even talk. They just dance around.
Oh,
here we go.
We got
there it is.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, that was classic.
Yeah.
We had fun.
Oh my god.
It was a fun tour.
Yeah, so that was do you guys just have a gig there? Or were you playing a fest in Vegas?
It was a gig. I think we were just doing. It was Suffocation, Whitechapel, Psycroptic,
Was
Vale
it near
Maya.
the Strip?
Oh, it was in House of Blues, Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, sick! That's your spot.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing. It's a great show, great turnout. I always, that's one of my favorite venues that I've ever played for sure. Like that's like you get to walk out. I think that show, Frank from Suffocation, like. Because the Blood Red or what was the album called? Not Blood Red Throne. What's it called?
Blood Oath.
Blood Oath. And they were like, And Frank was all, I'm gonna put $2,000 on fucking red for Blood Oath. Looks like just I followed him out there, and he fucking did it, and he won.
Oh shit, dude! Yeah. He had a sick night. Dude, he better not have. Well, I mean, whatever.
Oh no, he definitely went and blew it all. But
dude, I don't get that, dude. When you double up like that, you fucking walk away.
If that's how you start your night, though, you're starting your night on just this $2,000 win.
Dude, and then you go out and have drinks, and then you're like, this 4 grams burning a hole in my pocket right now.
But I definitely like when I think of Psycroptic, I think that was the first time you guys were ever in Vegas. So like you guys were just looking like around, just going like, Jesus, like I know, like what the hell is going on? What is this place? And just to show you guys the town and go from casino to casino and watch your guys' faces was definitely like one of my favorite tour memories still to this day. That was awesome. Watching an Australian band deal with Vegas for the first time was awesome, man. That was
I still remember, you're driving through the desert and there's nothing, and then out pops madness in front of you.
It is.
Have you guys played Mandalay Bay since?
I think once. We've only played at Vegas twice.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's the first one, the tour that you're talking about, Joel, on Dave. Is that your guys' first time in America, or did you before that?
What was the first tour? No, the first tour was Summer Slaughter.
Oh, okay.
We did 2008 Summer Slaughter.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that was definitely eye-opening.
Yeah. I know that's that fucking, because I've done 2 Summer Slaughters. The getting there at 11 a.m. It's such a whole day mental ordeal. Like to get there, like you're there so early, and then you have to be there till so late, and then your next drive is 8 hours. Like it's nuts. Like you're just like literally like bobbing back and forth by the end of it. But it's still like you're playing in front of so many people that you're so thankful. And that you're doing it, but it's still like the toughest tour. It's like if you want to know what touring is like, and you want the boot camp, that's definitely it.
Yeah. So that was our trial by fire. So we were totally green when it came to touring. And touring in the US is completely different to touring Europe, which is completely different from touring Australia. So you have to relearn it every time you go somewhere. So
definitely. So I mean, what's the biggest difference from touring Australia that it is America?
I guess most of the shows are fly-ins in Australia. You fly into a city and you might play a couple of the capital city and some regionals, and then it's predominantly done over weekends. Okay. Especially from Tasmania, we have to fly everywhere. So getting the van at the rehearsal room and then going out on tour is non-existent. That's not how we learn how to do it. It was like, okay, let's pack really lightly and organize all the equipment that we're borrowing, and let's go to the airport. So we got used to the fly-ins from day one, because to play any city, we had to fly. So that would be the main difference. As soon as you get to Europe, it's all usually done on a bus. So you just turn up, the bus is there, and okay, this is your home for the month. Yeah, you get driven around. When you get to the States, you go and pick up the van, and you're like, oh, this is the home for the month, and no one drives you around. It's like, there's the dates and there's a map. See ya.
Sure. Do you usually have your own drums with you, or do you have drums there that you arrange to be picked up?
In Australia, no, I never really use my own kit. It's always a loaner. I'll use my own kit in Melbourne, and then if we play a show in Hobart, Joe has actually got basically my setup as well, because Joe is a fucking ridiculous drummer as well, which is annoying.
I see.
In the States, I've actually got a kit that lives with Todd Stern in New Jersey. And then Europe, it's always rental backline. Yeah, so you get used to playing on different equipment. Well, you have to. You don't get used to it. It's just you get forced to do it.
Yeah. You have forced adaptation.
Yeah, and you've always got, you can blame the equipment always. Oh, I had a shit gig because of this and that. It's like, well, no, you just had a shit gig.
So to take it back to album, timeline and shit like that. So you guys had Scepters out. What was the gap between Scepters and Symbols?
It would have been probably 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most of it, it seems to take us 3 years to get the next one done.
Yeah.
So
tour, support the last one, ideas for the new one are coming, and then you guys start grinding for the next maybe 2 years or something before it finally.
Yeah, well, as soon as we've done one album, we start on the next.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always kind of writing, or I should say Joe is always kind of writing, and it's definitely a long process that just chipping away until we've got enough material. It's like, okay, it's now time to put the full stop on this writing session and get recorded and then start again, essentially. So it's not like we don't really allocate time. Okay, for this 6 months we're writing the album and then recording. It's more, okay, we've done this one, let's kick around some ideas for the next one, and still playing shows in between.
Yeah. I think that's actually, I was just going to say, to end that off, I was just thinking, I think it's better for me personally. I like piecing stuff together along the way versus having here's a certain amount of time. Here's what I have to do. I have to finish it. I just like to, I think that's kind of how most of us work too. Like just riffs get tossed into a certain area and then you grab riffs and piece them together, or you can extend them. All right. Enough about I don't know where I was even going.
Yeah, no, totally.
I cut off Joseph just to say basically everything that everybody's already saying. All right.
I was just gonna say, so the third album, Symbols, was it is Symbols. That's not Unique Leader anymore. And then after that, you moved to Nuclear Blast. So, yeah, what was like the record label shopping kind of like in that era?
I guess we have bounced around a little bit. It's not because we were ever really unhappy with anyone. Anyone we've worked with we've been first and foremost grateful to be able to work with them. It's like, oh, cool, they want to work with us. But then it gets to a point where maybe someone else seems more excited and more enthused to work with us. So it's never really been someone's dangling a carrot in front of us. It's more like, well, why don't we change it up a little bit? We're changing our sound up a little bit, so why don't we see what this label over here can do? I don't really have a bad word to say about any of the labels that we've worked with at all. There's no horror stories. It's just been, okay, maybe it's the relationship has got as far as it's going to go. So let's.
Dude, you're like the chillest dude ever, man. Like, so like even before we started the episode, we're like, dude, is there any like things we shouldn't mention or like drama with any things we shouldn't say? And you're like, no. Yeah. And you're like, the problems with labels, like everyone whines about labels and all the problems and all that, and you're just like, no, it's cool, it's good.
Yeah, I mean,
never heard it before, dude. Fucking Dave, you're the shit.
So there's always going to be issues, but it's like they're trying to do their job, we're trying to do our job.
I love your attitude. That's rad.
We're on the same team, Let's not.
Yeah.
Fuck, if the album didn't do as well as you thought it was going to do, it's like, well, maybe maybe it's our fault too. You can't blame everything on one entity if there's two involved. Vice versa. Something goes really well, it's like, well, there's two parties here, you know. It's a business relationship,
and no one's in death metal to get rich or anything. They're, you know, everyone's kind of just helping each other out because they want to see the bands flourish. They want to see the music get out there. They want to, you know, they have the same goal going into it, you know, equally as the band does. And a lot of bands, you know, they go into it thinking that they're owed something, or that they need more money, or they, you know, but it's like, dude, if you understand like the actual business side of it, and how death metal is not a high selling fucking genre, really. It's like the fact that this label and everyone still wants to get your music out is so cool, you know, like, and they want to help fund it and stuff. And obviously like there's little things here and there with it, but yeah, it's definitely like a cohesive coexisting relationship between two parties. You know what I mean?
Such a good point, dude. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's you work within the for want of a better word, the ecosystem. You know, this is kind of how it works, you know, for better or worse. And everyone's out for the same thing, you know. They're not trying to swindle you. It's like everyone wants you to do well.
Yeah.
And once you acknowledge that, it's like, you know, that a label doesn't want to release your album and then throw it in the fucking bin.
Right.
You know, everyone's on your side to do well.
Definitely.
And it's all about just getting your art out there, dude. It's been like that for me for a long time. Just as long as, I mean, that isn't even really the most important thing too, because it's always got to be for you first. But like, if you want to take it the step further, it's like being on a label is just a good way for your stuff to be distributed, you know, and have more, you know, access to it. If you want people to have access to it, that's the way.
Also too, when you're younger, you think like, you know, I get signed to a label that, you know, there's money involved. There's, you know, cause you watched all the Motley Crue stories, or, you know, you like have this kind of preconceived notion of like what it means to get signed to a label. And in this, you know, underground music, it's not the same. They don't have the same goal as, you know, taking Motley Crue and making a couple mil off the side. You know, it's like they're into the music. They want to put out the music. You know, it's like that's to me that's basically like a like I've said before, it's like a 0% interest loan for the band. Like, here you go. This is, you know, we'll pay for the recording, we'll pay for the promotion, we'll pay for marketing. Put out a cool product, then you hit the fucking road if you want to make money. You know, that's pretty much what it is. You know,
it's either go and stack some shelves or go and sleep in a van and then stack shelves when you return. So
exactly. It's just a little counterpart to help you out. Just like you when you get signed, you accrue this little buddy. It's going to help you out. It's like, hey, buddy.
But
totally true.
I like that.
I think somewhere you say, maybe it's your Facebook page, you say like avoiding real work since, I don't know, whenever you started.
1980, yeah.
So you've managed to, I know you're like probably one of the hardest working dudes in the industry, but you've avoided quote real work. So you managed to make it in some way, right?
Yeah, I can pay the rent. And I guess it's, I don't want to work for someone else, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm not scared of hard work, and hard work is awesome. It's killer. Like getting up every day and being able to work on whatever project it is, project, business, whatever, you know, that's a privilege. That's it's definitely not a right. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate to be able to do that. So I'll work as hard as I can so I don't have to go and take that paycheck from someone else and help fulfill their dream. It's like, I've got my own shit I want to do. But yeah, I do acknowledge that it's a very, very fortunate position I've been able to weasel my way into, so to speak.
Just weaseling it with the best drumming I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, just
weaseling.
Yeah, so how did you get so fast at double bass, like way back in the day? Like, you know, because you talked about influences, but like, you know, of course, like Pete Sandoval and all that, like, you know, we all like were into the fast shit, Dave Koolross, like in the 90s, all that, you know, but and Sean Reinert and Gene Hoglan and all the stuff, you know, but like, how did you practice, how did you get fast at double bass? Like, because that's like one of your things is like, besides being a great fucking drummer and all the shit you do, so, it's like so unique, but you have really fast kick drums. Let's be honest.
I've always loved the sound of fast kick drums. Like, I think the song that definitely changed my life was, well, there's a lot, you know, hearing Do Not Spit, the album from Damaged, you know, and you hear Matt Skid's, revolutionary. That playing from, it's like 93. Go back and listen to it. It's still crushing.
Damn, I'm going to type it down right now.
Do Not Spit. It's, killer album. I was just like, okay, I need to play like that guy. And then hearing, you know, the Morbid Angel stuff come through, and drum is just getting faster and faster. And to be honest, not really knowing that computer editing was a thing with drums. I was just hearing these albums that were flawless, and I'm like, whoa, okay, this is the benchmark now. I was like, well, I have to play like this. And that was it, you know. There's no YouTube, so you can't see anyone doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
It
was like Tim Young, you know, like that stuff too, you know.
Yeah.
You know, all that. It was just like, how do they do that? You know,
what's going on? That first Hate Eternal.
Like,
what is this madness? It's that magic thing. This sorcery. What's going on?
Exactly. That's the sorcery thing. Yeah, that's a great point, man.
Yeah, and literally, it's like, okay, well, how do you do this? It's like you might send an email to a drummer. It's like, how do you get fast? And like, they're always going to come back with, okay, you practice. Oh, okay, cool. I'll practice.
Yeah.
I was just doing it every day. And look, setting these little goals. It's like, well, I can play this fast today, so one week I need to be able to play this fast. And it definitely, the speed increase definitely happened in a very short amount of time. As soon as I just started dedicating the time to it,
and you push it with your band practices, right? That's the thing too.
Yeah.
Right? You want to like impress the guitarist a little bit. It's like, all right,
especially once your fucking brother.
Yeah,
like your brother's gonna be on you. He's not gonna pull punches. Yeah.
It was we definitely.
He's so sick, fast, tight.
He's ridiculous technique, and on drums as well. It's.
I've never heard your brother. Has he ever drummed for any bands? Has he ever?
He plays. I mean, his main job is playing drums in a cover band. Like that's his.
Jesus.
He plays in an 80s cover band.
Really? That's his job.
And he's real sick. He's a legit drummer. There's probably footage of him playing. I think there's some recordings of him doing covers.
Yeah.
He doesn't really play metal stuff, but he's got a great groove. Very, very good technique. That's one thing that Joe's got on any instrument. Like his technique is, he just focuses in on the technique, which is how you get pretty good.
Coming at you with like a more of a string theory than a drum theory. Basically the mythological stuff I always heard about Scepter was that like there was very little drum edits on that. Is that?
Well, it was all analog. We didn't. The studio wasn't running Pro Tools.
Oh shit! It was. That's right. Yeah.
And there's a couple of drop-ins on the album, but you can't move anything around when it's analog. There's like literally, taped. It was taped. Went to tape.
Damn, that's crazy.
We were rehearsing like 5 days a week.
Yeah,
and because me and Joe lived in the same house, like we were very ready going into that.
That's crazy, man. Analog. That's. I mean, we actually were throwing around stuff about like doing analog again, but that's the fact that you did it on Scepter. Is that what? Did you ever play? Did you play like live, or did you track, or how did that go?
So there's no clicks on it. It was analog, and Joe played guide guitar, which I can't remember whether we kept or not. So possibly one of the guitars is the live guitar that he played.
Jesus.
But when I hear back, it's fucking sloppy. It's all over the place.
This is definitely not sloppy.
But we just didn't know what we were doing. Like, honestly, it was like the studio we went to was the only studio in town. And the studio, we took a few CDs in, and Stu, who recorded it, the studio owner, he's an awesome guy, not into metal. He said, "Oh yeah, I could probably get pretty close to some of these albums." That was cool. Okay, I'll set up over here, and that was it.
God.
Subsequent albums.
I don't hear any slop on that album, dude. I don't understand why I'm hearing sloppy in the same sentence as this album. It just
it's like brain. I think of tight when I think
of tight and organic. That's all I think is.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, definitely organic. Like, I can get that because there's no click and it's us playing it.
Dude, that album is so tight. It's insane. Like, it's known for being tight amongst, like, Matt from Decrepit is the first person that was like, dude. That's what I'm saying.
The picking on that album sounds clean as fuck.
Yeah, the drumming, everything. It's like ridiculous, dude.
Obviously.
It's crazy. You guys do that on tape.
You guys are the reincarnation of the Abbott brothers.
I think, subsequent albums, as we learned more about the studio, and we learned about click tracks and things like that. Oh, right, you can play along to a metronome. Cool.
Yeah.
That came with cymbals. That's when we started to play to a click. And then as we've progressed, it's kind of gone hand in hand with Joe progressing as a recording engineer. Because we've always been very DIY, and again, been lucky to make careers out of being DIY in certain regards. It's like, well, okay, we've got this money for the band. Why don't we buy the equipment for you, Joe, and you figure out how to record? And then, that 10, 15 years later, that's turned into, okay, that's what he does for his job. He's an engineer.
That's fucking dope, dude.
And I guess, that it probably comes back to the isolation aspect of Tasmania,
Yeah.
There's not much around. So we did have to do a lot of ourselves and figure it out.
Yeah, because nobody was going to come over to you guys and show you. You just had to fucking adapt and do it your way. And that's why you see, we had already mentioned that, but it's like the Australian scene is such a standout scene. And I really do think that it's just because you guys are just there on your island, far down south, fucking, just. And I was also thinking about, there's like other bands too that have done like more poppier style metal. Like Dan had toured with Parkway Drive. Those guys are like basically a Kill Switch Engage out there because they could never get Kill Switch Engage. I don't think that's necessarily the reason why they started as a band, but I think that but they've also put their own spin on it too, like stuff that obviously it doesn't sound exactly like that, but it's in that genre. All I'm saying is everything that I've heard from Australia, including Psycroptic. I mean, Psycroptic is number one for me coming out of there. And I just love everything that's come out of that scene. That I now that you've mentioned all these bands that I don't know, I'm going to start digging even deeper back into the 90s with Australia and see, what other kind of gems pop up that I should have been paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, it's always had a very healthy and creative, not just music scene, but I guess art scene in. Creatively, there's a lot of very cool shit that comes out of Australia. Again, coming back to the isolation thing, it's not the be and all and end all. I'm not saying, okay, this is the only reason, but it's definitely got a hand in it for sure. And, growing up in this, I'm always going to say how fortunate we are to grow up here. And every time I come back to Australia, I'm just like, wow, we are super lucky to have grown up here.
I can't wait till I can finally visit, dude. It's definitely a bucket list destination for me.
It's a special place, and it's so varied as well. In terms of the people, the cultures, the climate, everything. It's definitely a melting pot of a country.
Sorry, go ahead, Joseph. I'll save that one for later.
Okay. Just because you're talking about Melbourne, we were talking with Joe Lester from Intronaut a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Hiatus Coyote and that being one of his favorite bands. Do you know about that band at all?
So Joe's wife is very good friends with one of the guys in the band. I think so I don't know them personally, but Joe knows them. I didn't realize how popular they were.
Oh yeah, they're huge out here. I saw them sell out Slim's San Francisco, one of the most famous venues in America. That was one of the best shows I've ever been to, and we love them over here. So that whole neo soul. When you were talking about musicians and sorcery and drummers in particular, I think is it Perrin, the drummer? He's one of the guys that can pull off stuff where I just want to learn how to play that style because of people like him.
Yeah. It's it's definitely something special when you come across someone and you're like, I have no idea what you're doing. That's sick. I need to learn what do you got going on over there? Just show me. And finding bands like that. I'm not very familiar with them.
I'm sorry, I meant the Fillmore, not Slim. Sorry, Slim's is pretty small. The Fillmore is huge. That's the fucking legendary venue. So correct.
I know that they played Red Rocks in Denver as well, and but Joe is. I think he's friends with one. I don't know which one, but one of the dudes in the band. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask, what's the craziest creature you've ever fucking come across over there, dude? Any personal, like you're like, oh shit, dude, I'm like 10 feet away from this murderous animal.
Probably a very poisonous snake.
Yeah,
that would be like the encounter that would, it's like this thing could actually kill me. If
no crazy stories of a friend like it coming across, I don't know, like a fucking some kind of spider on their neck, dude, or some shit.
Spiders are very common.
Yeah. See, but like your spiders, I see like a spider in the corner of the room, and I just hit it and it's dead. You got like wolf spiders and shit, dude.
We just let them do their thing. It's like, okay, you stay there, I'm going to stay here, and we'll both be cool.
I did that last night or a couple nights ago, and then I felt a tickle on my face, and he was running across my face. And then nice. I looked over, and it was I was like thinking that it was something else, and I was like, okay, it's just like I'm to have a little tickle. And I looked over, and this huge spider just running across my bed. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go downstairs and sleep on the couch for a while.
I'm gonna burn the house down, and then I think that'll
So one actually specific question, going back to out of the spider realm, but so your brother, I know your brother, he's not the most outspoken, he's pretty quiet, pretty to himself guy. Do you think, I know that because he's such a phenomenal guitar player, do you think that has a part in how he doesn't like to solo that much? Because I know your whole band's pretty much like a one solo going on the whole time, but you guys are all soloing at the same time, basically. but in unison. But I noticed that, like, because I've seen him do like guest solos and stuff, and videos of him doing solos and stuff, and he's a phenomenal solo player, soloist. But I've noticed that he doesn't really do it too much in Psycroptic. Is that what do you think the purpose was of making that decision?
I think it was just something we started out not doing, that's a weird phrase. We didn't really have an interest. It's like, well, let's just make cool songs and not have this little interlude in the middle for a solo. Like, let's just make like a cool chunk. And as we evolved, it just never came up really. So I think there's one song that we do have a solo in, and we had to push him for it. It's like, just do a solo. Like, just do one here, right here. And we
never felt like it was missing, you know?
No, it's never miss. I asked a group of friends. I told them I was talking to you right now, and I was like, "Do you have any questions?" They're like, "Why don't they need to look? What's up with the solos? They don't solo enough." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I went down to go pee just now after you said that, and I was like, I think the whole band is a solo." It's just like
we're all just trying to get by. It's. I guess you would say it now is a conscious decision not really to do them unless it kind of comes up. But, you know, most of his melodies are almost a solo.
I thought the solos sounded really good on your songs that I heard, like the new stuff, all the like singles and stuff and all these songs.
Yeah, I mean, he is a fantastic soloist.
Sick to me.
Didn't he do like a solo for a band or something? I don't know. I saw some video of him doing a solo.
I think he's done a bunch. And he's written a whole thrash album where he's got solos all over it. He can write the music, but he can't get it to the releasing part, you know. So I'm sure his hard drive's full of crazy stuff that he's just, I don't know how to put it out. So whatever. Actually, he did.
So many people out there that didn't want to hear that because now they're just waiting for that fucking computer to crack open, dude.
I think he did release a solo song, so I think it's out and about. Yeah, he did.
Nice.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it's like, yeah, he actually did finally release a song. So I think if you search Joe Haley, you could probably find it somewhere.
That's awesome, man. No, you guys are basically like the Australian Jarzenbeck brothers in my eyes.
I was actually to go back to the brother thing. It's like, I wonder what that is, because there is so many like all-star brother tag teams, even sister tag teams, and other styles of music too. I've heard sisters get together and write sick and perform sick music too. So it's
Art,
like,
dude.
Yeah, it's just art and being under the same roof, you know?
No, yeah, Heart, the band.
Heart.
But also Heart.
Heart is art, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's just a very supportive upbringing as well, you know. Our parents,
are you always constantly trying to one up each other, like we were talking about the sibling rivalry?
Not really. It was more like, okay, we're playing an instrument, so let's play in a band, you know. It makes it easy, you know, it removes an element of communication. When you play in a band with a sibling, you can be brutally honest. But if it's just a friend, there's probably you got to hold back about 10%. So,
yep,
I get it. I could totally see me and Vincent just being like, "Nah, dude, you fucked up the popcorn, dude. You gotta fucking go back and do that again."
That's the one thing about bands is their relationships with 4 or 5 people. You have to really hold them very seriously and dear, and their feelings and all that stuff. And you could really bum someone out if you tell something. And if you guys are brothers, you could be like, "No, dude, I don't like that. Like, you're gonna be my brother no matter what. So at the end of practice, you're still my fucking brother. So I get to fucking say whatever I want to you."
That's definitely an element. And you know, very similar upbringing. We grew up in the same house. Our parents were very supportive. Didn't force music or art on us, but were totally encouraging and, you know, just let us do our thing.
Were either of them into doing music and art?
What was that, sorry?
Were either one of your parents into doing any kind of music or art?
No. They're both teachers. So not really artists in any particular field. You know, they appreciate it. But I think it was what they didn't do that was the best part. They didn't try to stop us from, "Hey, Mum and Dad, I want to make it in a death metal band. I'm going to go on tour to this place, and I'm not sure how we're going to pay for it. And is that all cool?" So yeah, just have fun. Just have fun. Stay safe.
Nice, dude.
So
that's kind of how my parents were too. My dad he was a bass player and stuff, and he was basically just like, I told him like, you know, I was 21, 22, going on the first tours and stuff like that, and he was like, I'm gonna live through you. Like, I've wanted to do that my whole life, and I got married too early, and I made, you know, the dad, I made these mistakes. He's like,
you fucked it up.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
You can fulfill
like,
his destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, he was always very supportive of it in that way. But I was like, I remember just the talk of telling him like, hey, so I'm in a death metal band, and I want to maybe try to do it as a career. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to go on tour and see what happens. And he's like, fuck yeah. Just fucking, you know, right now is the perfect age to do it. That's what he told me. He's like, you're in your early 20s. Just give it a shot, man.
Yeah. You'll have a chance to bounce back if you fuck up too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Which it took a few years, but I bounced back. But
I'm still trying to bounce back.
So you guys, your last album was 2018?
2018, yeah.
So that means that it's 3 years have gone by. You're doing this 3-year magical thing. So what's going on?
The new album is getting mixed at the moment.
Oh shit! Yes. So it's done. Fuck yeah.
Done. Yeah. So we put out 2 songs last year, like
oh, that's right.
As a digital. We pressed it on vinyl as well, but more a digital, like a single, well, 2 tracks, EP, whatever. I think, you know, for a couple of reasons, it was more to keep us enthused, just something positive, because everything's, because of everything. And it was just something cool. Okay, you know, we've got these tracks, not sure whether they fit on the next album. Let's just put them out. I think because these days we actually track in chunks. So usually I'll track 3 songs at a time, usually say a month apart. So I've found, for me, that's the best way to get drum takes that I'm happy with, songs that I'm happy with, and keep the ideas between the songs fresh as well. You know, I'll focus on 3 songs, track them, have another month to work on another 3 songs, refine them. So we were actually in the process of doing that when everything shut down. So we had these 2 tracks that we'd started for the album, and they turned out pretty cool. So we're like, let's just put them out there. Like,
where are you recording them?
Those tracks I'd recorded in Hobart. So Joe freelances in a particular studio, so we tracked the drums there, and he tracks everything else at his home studio. But drums we use at a bunch of different studios. But for the upcoming album, actually, I'm doing this from the control booth of the studio that we use. So,
oh, nice.
The warehouse where I've got my room has also got a recording studio in it, which makes it very convenient. So while everything was locked down, I could still track drums. So we did that here. So this will be the next album will be the first one that we've used this particular studio for the drums.
So you're doing those 3-song chunks. You're doing it in that studio, but you're keeping those tracks every 3 songs for the same album, or are you going to do all one big?
No, this is the album. So I actually tracked the drums for the album in I think it was October, November, December.
Okay.
So a month apart.
Nice.
So I finished my drums just before Christmas, and then sent it down. And then Joe does his sorcery. So Joe and Pep live in the same city, so they can work very closely together.
So what would you say like the progression is over, you know, from Scepter all the way to, you know, as the kingdom drowns? Like where's the direction that Psycroptic is going? Because I do feel like there is like a common theme of you and Joe's riffs and camaraderie together, but I do feel like there's like a there's constantly something that's different, or you're pushing it a different way? Is there a certain kind of style that you guys are leaning towards from going from Scepter to as the Kingdom Drowns? Or
yeah, it's never really been too much of a conscious decision where we go with it. And it's almost like, we take the album before and we add 15-20% new stuff, and that's where we go. And then wherever, and then that'll take us to the next album. And then so it's been pretty natural. We've never said, okay, we have to play like this. We might, for a particular production thing, we might say, okay, this album is killer, or this particular part from this band, that would sound cool with this riff. So definitely inspired by other stuff, but it's not like, okay, we have to play like this. It's let's see what happens with the riffs. Let's Joe will send the skeletons of the songs over, and over time they've gradually gotten more and more involved with the demos, and that's kind of how stuff evolves. He'll send it to me, I'll work on songs and might say, okay, this, maybe we can change the tempo of this song, increase it or decrease it, or maybe get rid of this bit, or he might just have a placeholder riff, and then once I track drums, that'll help guide where the song's going to go. So yeah, there's never a formula how we do things, so we're always kind of changing it just to keep ourselves interested, really. I'd say at the end of the day, it's for selfish reasons. We always want to hear. Yeah, we always want to be stoked with the band. We always want to be doing something cool and be like, fuck, that's the best thing we've ever done. Like that's what we want, that feeling at the end of every album. And I've been lucky enough. That's what I feel. Other people are not going to agree with that because they're going to have their favorites. But I kind of like the feeling of, okay, this is the best thing I can do at this point in time, and that's it right there. Yeah. So it's like it's a time capsule, so to speak.
Yep. Just encapsulating exactly where you are at that time and how you're feeling at that time and what comes out of it.
Exactly. So again, it's just, we're fortunate to be able to still be stoked with it. We don't have anyone breathing down our neck saying, no, you have to make it sound like this. No, you have to replicate that. It's like the labels have always been like, just once you're finished, just send it over. Like, okay, cool.
Sick.
Which is, the best. It's cool.
Definitely.
What was the last tour that you guys completed?
Probably would have been the US tour that we did. That would have been the last full tour we did. I think that was mid to late 2019 from memory.
Okay.
And we were preparing to come. We were supposed to come back to the States in April 2020. That was the plan. Because we get 1-year visas, we have to squeeze as many tours out as possible. And that was the plan. We were supposed to do another 2 tours on our visas before they expired. But yeah.
So you guys can't really plan until everything opens back up, because you said Australia is kind of locked down right now, not allowing people in and out. So
life is pretty much normal within the country. We actually announced an Australian tour on Monday, so I've got it's a tour, but it's 6 shows. We're playing shows. Let's see how it happens. Let's see what happens.
Any Cali Death podcast fans in Australia, let us know and go to these shows and then
film
hit us
it.
up. Tell us how it is. Yeah.
We'll be rusty. We'll be a bit rusty.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, just before this, I was jamming a few songs. There's a little bit of rust. Be cleaned off, shall we say.
Definitely. Do you have any plan? Is there any kind of like anything in the works for getting back to the States or Europe, or is there anything? It's just kind of until things open back up.
Yeah. The honest truth is, it'll be later than most bands, just because it has to be completely, or as best as it can be, secure in the way that secure, and by that I mean the dates will happen, because it's such a financial commitment. We just can't turn around and come back. You
can't throw a date out there or throw some random tour that might not happen, because you guys got to put fucking money out there to get out anywhere. Yeah.
We're dropping 15, 20 grand before the first show's even been played. So it's financially, that's we're restricted to that. So we have to see a whole bunch of tours happen and them happen successfully, and just know what the landscape looks like. It's such a cliched phrase. Let's see what the landscape looks like, but
I'm still seeing tours get postponed and canceled and shit that are supposed to be happening this year.
Yeah,
you just don't know. You just don't fucking know.
Yeah. So the plan is, we will, as soon as we finish the album, we will start on the next one. So, and there's already ideas. So the gap between albums is going to be shorter. So we'll stay productive.
Is there any kind of a release date for the new album?
No. As soon as it's submitted, it'll be X amount of money, probably 6 months after that. So there's no pressure at all from the label. They're just like, just let us know when it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're getting to the final stage. I guess this is the part I like, when everything's coming together. Okay, the mixes are happening. Okay, there's the preview of the artwork. Okay. Everything's just starting to come together now. So
definitely.
Very excited for this one. It's there's some different stuff, but it's
good.
Still us.
Nice.
And besides Psycroptic, I know you play with a bunch of bands, like you've already mentioned a few. What other projects besides Psycroptic are you working on or working with these days?
So Werewolves, which is just outright brutal death metal. That's the only goal of that band, is just brutal death metal. That's probably I guess in terms of the output, that's probably the most productive band. We just released the second album earlier this year. We've already finished the fourth album, and I've got the material for album 5 and 6 that I'm working on. So
holy shit.
So album 3 will come out hopefully January next year, and then we'll see. So there's lots of death metal from Werewolves.
So you're not tired of playing death metal drums yet?
No, it's pretty cool.
Sick. That's what I like.
I like the absurdity in a band like Werewolves. It's like, just play the most obvious thing straight away. So as soon as you hear the riff, it's like, that needs to be a blast beat at 250 beats a minute. That's very cut and dry. Yeah, and it's like bang, 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 bang. So Werewolves, Adrenaline is another band I'm playing with. Again, working on new material at the moment. The Amenta.
We toured with them.
Yeah. So we've actually got some live shows coming up.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. So I've played with those guys on and off for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Ruins, it's a black metal band that I play in, and we're all quite lazy. There's a lot of new music that I have to learn and record very soon, and I feel like I'm very behind schedule. But yeah, there's a couple of other things in the works, but nothing.
Is that a more traditional style black metal, or what genre or subgenre?
I would say it's older school influenced black metal. So Celtic Frost mixed with Satiric Immortal, that sort of stuff.
That's with Joe also, right?
Joe plays live guitar.
Oh, okay.
But it's just old mates from Tassie. We're all grew up together, and we kind of use the band as a excuse to all hang out. Pretty much.
That's why that's what we do for the podcast.
Yep. Sick.
You said there was 200 people at your school, and you got all these musicians that are from where you grew up and shit. It's like, even though there's some little people, it's just like a concentrated, like there's a lot more people than you would think. Like there's 40,000 people in my town. There's only 3 death metal heads, And you just mentioned like 5 guys from the same Tasmanian town that you grew up from.
Well, not all of them. So it was me and Joe
in
this particular town. And then we moved to the big city.
Oh, yeah. That's what you mentioned. Okay.
Yeah. So it's about 250,000 people. So it's still small, You kind of know everyone in the scene. Anyone in the same, I guess, year range, everyone's playing at the same venues. And it doesn't matter stylistically what you're into. Like, you all know each other because you're playing gigs. And that was the cool thing about it. I think that's probably how a lot of other influences crept in, because we just go to everyone's gigs, and the local bands, they're all influenced by the bands that they're into. So by default, you're getting exposed to a whole heap of different musical styles outside of metal. And it's all, very natural. So it was a cool city to grow up in.
Definitely. So, I mean, in Hobart, was there like a metal venue that you guys all gravitate towards? Was there like a spot that would go out, like had all the shows, or you just be at random places?
There was really only 3 venues, so not metal specific at all. Like, they were just the venues.
Yeah.
And everyone went. There was bands playing on the weekend, so you went along, which is killer.
You guys you've mentioned weekends a bunch, so you guys never, like, during the week, it's not a thing out there, right? You guys are just weekends?
Yeah, not so much. I mean, for local shows, you want to play on a Friday and Saturday night, obviously.
Yeah.
When you do organize, for example, if I put my promoter hat on and I'm bringing a band from overseas, it's like, you guys are playing every night because there's massive hotel bills.
Yeah.
And the punters are used to it. The crowds are used to it, because that's what happens. The local bands will play Friday, Saturday night, and then when whatever band comes through town, it could be a Monday night. If Dimmu's playing in town, it doesn't matter. Everyone's coming. So
definitely,
I think that's generally how it works in most scenes around the place.
Do you guys, I mean, here in the States and stuff, I mean, it's been more of a thing with promoters and stuff, but do you guys have bands do like pay to play kind of things where they have to sell a certain amount of tickets? But, that's not a thing out there. You guys are not really ahead of the curve.
Ahead, behind, across, adjacent, whatever. The support bands, obviously, if you're bringing out a band, and I've been in both positions where, okay, we're the support band, so there's $100 available in the budget, and then I've been the promoter, and it's like, sorry guys, there's only $100 available. So I know what it's like, and it just comes down to that's just the financial reality of it. It's unfortunate, but it's just how it is.
It's how it is.
Yeah. But the pay to play thing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There would be something slightly similar where it's not really pay to play, but okay, the band would say, okay, well, here's some tickets. You don't have to sell them, but if you do, you get a cut of the sales.
Okay.
But it's not a strong arm tactic where it's like, you must sell these tickets or you don't play. It's like, hey, do you want to earn an extra $500? If you want, go and sell these 100 tickets.
God, sounds amazing compared to here.
I guess the States, well, it's a little bit more ruthless in all aspects. Everyone's trying to get that slice in every link of the chain.
Yep.
The merch rates aren't a thing out here.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Merch
cuts. Yep.
Yeah. Just those little small things, it makes it slightly easier.
Yeah, exactly.
There was time to get around that.
Yeah, we
became expert. It's fine.
Yeah.
We had two notebooks.
We would have 2 notebooks, one with the actual sales that you guys made, and one notebook that was basically told us what to go. We had to go replenish the merch that was in the van. Come bring those exact amount of shirts back in, so they don't, when they recount us out, that they don't charge us on them. It's like, you're already struggling enough, and you're making $300 or $400 a night, or $400 or $500 a night, and you're traveling every night, and then they take a cut of your merch. You're just like, Jesus, man, like, what are you gonna take? Like, we get taxed on our gas for coming over here now. Like, what's coming next? It's like,
if I have to live on granola for 2 days straight, dude, I'm gonna fucking try and figure out how we can make some extra money on not paying the fucking merch fees, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that was we learned that on the first day of Summer Slaughter. Like, when someone come over and said, "Oh, the merch rate's 20%," I'm like, "What? What is that?" Someone had to
from Australia, right?
Yeah.
Someone had to explain. Oh, you have to pay the commission. It's like, no, I don't. You watch.
Yeah.
In Canada, they check your merch at the border, and then they tally you out on the way back into the States.
Yep.
Sure do. Sure do.
And
you can only really,
Casey's drums were a lot heavier going into Canada.
I don't know what you're talking about.
A lot more stuffing. Big drum.
But I wanted to say that, like, dude, Dave, I just wanted to thank you for coming on, man. And like, out of all the drummers, like, you're like in the top list of people that I've toured with that I like respect, and I think are like the best drummers in the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just been like, oh man, I got to tour with Dave Haley, dude. You don't even know.
Dive
Haley. Yeah. Well, you guys said that on tour. You were like, oh, like, you're just like, it's like dive Haley. You just
it's like diving off a board. It's like you're diving into a
dive highly. You gotta dive highly, dude.
Also, what if
dive highly if you're gonna miss those rocks, dude?
That's a good one.
Dives into the pool. You're like, well, dives into the pool. What do you mean? Like, it's like, oh, okay, I got it. But dude, seriously, man, like, like Flo and all the different people, like Longstreth, I've like toured with or seen, like, you're like at the top of that list, or like in that list of like the most insane drummers I've ever fucking seen or had the pleasure to tour with, so
it's very much appreciated. And it means a lot. I'm always going to say, oh, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But no, I do appreciate it a lot. Yeah.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you taking the time out and jumping on this with us, man. I really do. I listened to some Psycroptic. I told you when you were texting me, I was like listening to you guys again. I'm like, fuck.
You
guys were like,
me too,
like
dude.
Same
basically like
today, dude.
When I got signed to when I was with Odious Mortem, we got signed to Unique Leader. I was like, do we get to play with Psycroptic and Spawn of Possession? Those were like the 2 bands I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's like, that was the summit of Unique Leader Hill, and man, I really appreciate everything you've done for the scene, everything you and so many people bring you up all the time as their biggest influence for drums and stuff, and it's for a reason, man. You're just keep it going, man. Keep those fucking tunes coming, man.
It's too late now. I'm already down this path.
You might as well. You're too deep, man.
I want to share this Facebook post that Psycroptic reshared in honor of Joe Lester,
no way,
the original, and just shout out to Joe Lester and the
check out the YouTube video if you want to see that image.
Albums with the wrong band name on. That's not actually what this is shared from.
Explain it again, Joseph.
Joe Lester is part of a group. Joe Lester from Intronaut is part of a group that does these sorts of like Photoshops. And this isn't associated with that particular group, but it's actually called Springfield Albums who shared that. So maybe check them out too. But anyway, just I want to second everything Casey and Joel have said about Psycroptic and your drumming. Super huge influence. I learned a lot of the Observant album on guitar as well, which was a huge thing for me as a aspiring guitar player at the time. So definitely have some old videos of me playing that stuff, which I should go look up and see how shitty I used to be. But anyway, yeah, just always been a huge fan. So yeah.
Thanks a lot.
I can air drum all your shit, dude. And I can air guitar all Joe's shit, dude.
And Skin Coffin is the sickest song of all time. I'm just gonna fucking say it. So okay, good. There it is.
Yeah, it's
yeah. We're just trying to get by. That's all we do.
Just trying to get by. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love the Dave's one of those humble motherfuckers that won't. He's still progressing. He doesn't. He's one of those people like I'm good, but it's like, but you're the best in the world. Okay, fine.
Well, we're just blessed to have you reaction. And all these amazing other musicians come on the pod. So
yeah, dude.
This
is another pinnacle podcast for me personally, and I'm sure for the rest of the resident homies.
I just can't believe I got to tour with you guys. Like that
was some sick tours. It was sick.
I had a good time.
That was fun, man. So much fun.
Such an honor, dude. We love you guys, man.
Right on, guys. We should probably just wrap this one up, right?
I think 2 more hours would be
cool.
Good.
That's cool. Where can everybody buy Psycroptic gear?
Oh yeah.
And digital sales.
Places. Yeah.
You guys got a Bandcamp?
The Bandcamp. You go to the website. You could go to in the States. Our merch is through Night Shift Merch.
Nice.
In Australia, it's through my company, which is Direct Merch. It's out there. Use Google. You'll find it.
Sweet.
Nice, man.
Right on, guys. Well, thank you very much, Dave. Thank you, resident homies, for spending another Thursday with me. Thanks to the subscribers. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, the bells, and all that whistles and all them shits. Get the 5-star ratings. And we love you guys. We'll see you guys next week.